Okay, so for this tutorial, we are going to look at creating a basic instructions page for our game. Now, this is one of the simplest forms to do, and ways to make the instruction page. And if you look at any of the other tutorials, they are going to be more complex, and they will add a little bit more sort of sparkle to it. But this one's going to be the basic one, so have a look. Okay, so the first thing with our game, we have a play and a quit. So when our game loads, what we basically have is this. Ooh, wrong one. Sorry, goes onto those levels straight away. So if I just change the room order. So what should come up then is this little start menu where we have a play and a quit button. And if we click the play button, it takes us straight into level 1. Now, what we ideally would like is to have some form of instructions before we enter this room. So in order to do this, what we'll need to do is, first of all, let's create a new room. And this room is going to be called Room 0 Instructions. Now, the reason I've called it Room 0 is because Room 0 is my first room. Now, if your first room is called Level 1, obviously you can call it Level 1 Instructions. If it's called Level 0, whatever, right? Just this here now is my instructions. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make something in Photoshop, and this is going to span the entire sort of width and height of this. So I need to make sure of the size. So it's 1366 by 768. So what I'm going to do is start with Photoshop and go new file, and then we'll start here 1366 by 768, and make sure it's set to pixels, because then that will map it out to the exact same size that you need it. If you've changed the dimensions in GameMaker, then obviously you need to change them accordingly. Just make sure that there is set to pixels, and if you want it in color, obviously just make sure the color mode is set to color. Now, if you wanted to add in an image or anything at the back, you can. Now's your chance to do it, although I'm not going to for this. What we're going to do is we're going to add in a gradient effect, which is going to be a very lightish purple, and we're then going to go into a lightish blue. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this down. It's going to be like this, a little bit abstract, quite nice. There you are, that's good enough for me. Okay, so what we are going to now look at doing is adding some text in, and we're going to just use the text. We're going to change this to white, and we're going to just call it instructions. And then we're going to move it down, and you can see I've made a typing mistake already, so let's just change that again. Okay, so we've got now our instructions, and that's going to live in the top here. Now, if you wanted to edit this text, just look on the layer and then double click on the layer. You can then make the size smaller, or if you want to change the color of it and go for something a little bit different, you can. Your choice entirely. And if you wanted to change the text to be something else, you can. So you can make it stand out, or you can make it a little bit bigger by just changing that there. Just remember to click the tick on the top and then move it. Okay, so what you will probably want to do is type out a lot of instructions. Now, Photoshop isn't ideal for this, but obviously you can do it. The other methods of doing it are better. One of the downsides with Photoshop is that it doesn't really have a spell check built in. So if you are going to do this, I'd advise you to type everything you want out in Word first here, and we're going to type out some instructions really quickly. So in this level, you will need to shoot all of the enemies. There are only 3, so please make sure you get them all. You will need to head to the, we'll call it a portal, to complete the game. Okay, so what we've got now is some basic instructions here, and if I copy this and I open my text box back up, and what I'm going to do is just single click and I'm going to change the text to something a bit more readable, like this Helvetica. Let me just move this down and click back in here, and I'm going to paste this in. Now the downside you've got, obviously, when you just paste direct in, it hasn't formatted it in a nice way. So let's just change the size. We're going to change the justification, and now you're going to need to make sure that this fits what you want. So just press enter to make sure it goes on the right line, and if you need to move it down, you can. And obviously now this is one block that we've made. Now if you wanted to get your images in, remember the sprites are saved within your sprites folder, so you can click, drag and drop, and then that then can be placed in as and when you need. And if we need to move it over, and let's say for example if you're then looking for the portal, that portal again was over here. So if you look S portal, if we wanted to drag that in there, that then looks good. Okay, so that now is my instructions page. I'm happy with that. That's done. So what we need to do is go and export this as a quick PNG, and we're going to export it out now. I'm just going to save this on my desktop. You will need to save it somewhere properly. Instructions L1, and let's just save that out very quickly. Now I've just saved that to my desktop. You will not be able to save it to your desktop on yours, but obviously you need to put the correct folder structure in. I'm going to now look and create a new group, and I'm going to call this level 1 instructions, and we're going to drag the file we just made in there. So this PNG file we're going to drag in here, and it's there ready to go. Now what you will need to do is set this image as a background in this room. So how do you do that? Very easy. If you double click on the room, and then let's go on the background, and then set the sprite here, choose the appropriate sprite. So you've seen now we've made this folder, instructions level 1, as you can see it's there. You're also going to need to put a button in here to go into the correct level. So if you wanted to draw another button, I'm just going to add in on this level 0 here. I'm going to make a new group within my object called instructions pages, and we're going to make a new object, and I'm going to call this O level 1 inst button. And we're going to basically set this to just show like play or something like that, right? Now, what we do is when we click it with the mouse, we're going to go to the appropriate room. So mine now is going to go to room 0, right? Okay, so let's go into this, and we're going to drag this on. Sorry, I've misnamed that. That should be level 0 buttons to be consistent. Okay, right, if I go back to my room now, I'm going to add in a new instance layer, just call this button, and I'm going to just drag this on here, which is just in the middle. So let's see now what that does. So if I press play, so if we click on play now, you can see it doesn't go. Why? Well, you need to now change this button, which is on the start page. So this button now needs to go to our instructions page first. So in my menu, you can see I've got O play. So left pressed, and all we do, we modify the room. We basically tell it to go to the instructions. And now when we click on play, this takes us to the instructions where you can read what you need to do. There you are, we're happy, let's click on play. And it takes us then to the menu system, sorry, the correct level that we need. Now, if you wanted to do that for every single one, you can. What you'll notice is, if I just shoot this, what you'll need to do is whenever you have the next level, we're just going to go here really quickly. So when we hit this portal, what we need to do now is, instead of going straight to this level, you'll go to another room, which will be called, say, room 1 instructions, and so forth. So what you're doing essentially is you're making a way for you to go through. So that's probably the quickest way to do it. Making new instructions in Photoshop can work, but what you've got to be careful is if you do make a mistake with any of these instructions, you need to open the Photoshop file back up, edit it, resave it, and import it. So the next videos that I'm going to be doing after this are a little bit more complex. They are going to take you a little bit longer to do, but it'll give you more control ultimately. But if you wanted to just do something really quick and just get the instructions in, this is probably the quickest way to do it.